Hello, I'm Stephan Schwartz, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the SchwartzReport. I gave a lot of thought to today's episode because I wanted to give you a gift to start the new year. 24, in many ways, looks very difficult. And so I wanted to give you a gift that I have found myself to be really very special. So this podcast in this episode is about meditation. Now, most people think of meditation as religious. It's not. Many religions, in fact, most religions, teach some form of meditation because they know that it allows you to access an aspect of yourself that you don't normally think about or have contact with. And if you think about it, or you do some studying or do some research, you discover that almost all of the big enduring religions begin because one person has a non-local consciousness experience involved with meditation and is sufficiently charismatic that when they talk about it, people listen. Jesus goes to get baptized by John. He gets baptized. He goes into the desert to meditate and he awakens. The Buddha is a young prince. He goes up to an ashram. He's taught how to meditate and he awakens. Muhammad goes to the sacred cave of Hira. He has a non-local consciousness experience as he meditates and he awakens. So this is an aspect of consciousness that religion has focused on, but it's not involved with any specific religion. What I'm talking about here is the non-local aspect of consciousness. There is a part of you that is outside of space-time. It's what religion calls the soul. I will call it the eternal self. And the research that we do in science has shown us that there is a continuity of consciousness. That is, your eternal consciousness existed before you incarnated and became you, and it will continue after you physically die. And that, in fact, episodically, this eternal self manifests another personality which it incarnates, but that this eternal self, which is outside of space-time, this higher self, it's sometimes called the soul, whatever the different languages and beliefs hold. This is the part that's outside of space-time. And the way you open to that is to develop the ability to attain and sustain intentioned, focused awareness. And the best way to do that is to meditate. Now, the research on meditation, and there is an enormous amount. If you go to PubMed, the national database maintained by the government, and you do a Google on meditation, you'll see there are about 10,000 papers will come up, because people in science like myself begin their own practice of meditation, or they begin studying somebody that's doing it, and for one reason or another, they realize how important it is, and they start doing research. So I'm going to teach you, as my gift, a form of meditation that is not involved with any religion. It is based entirely in science. I have been doing it for almost 60 years. It has completely transformed my life, and it will transform your life. The research shows that developing the daily practice of meditation for about 20 minutes changes your whole body. It changes your physiology. It improves your memory. It makes your brain more acute. It makes you more creative, makes you healthier. It even changes your DNA. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And at the end of this episode, I put up a paper that, as I always do, that you can go to that will give you lots of information about this, and also many, many resources that you can go to if you want to pursue it further. But today, in this episode, what I want to do is to teach you how to do it, because it's not complicated. So let's do that. And I give it to you as my gift for the new year. And I hope you will take it up. I think if you do, you will find it is the greatest gift you have ever given yourself. And I say that without fear of contradiction. Anyone who does this regularly will agree with me. So let's start. You want to choose a regular time to do it. Select a time each day when you can sit undisturbed for 20 minutes. No phones, no interruptions, no unnecessary stimulus from radio or television or music. You will probably find, however, once you make this decision, that it'll become the busiest time of the day, because there are parts of the conscious mind that are resistant to opening to the non-local consciousness. After a few weeks, you will suddenly have any number of things that your mind tells you must be done during those 20 minutes. Do not give way. Persevere. You take this time, you commit it. It is your 20 minutes for meditation. It can be in the evening, it can be in the morning, it can be in the middle of the day. It doesn't matter. What matters is the practice, the daily practice. So you've picked your time. Now you must select your spot. Select a spot in your house or in your office, something that you can use for your meditation session. You are creating your own sacred space, and doing so in conscious awareness that this is what you are doing is part of the process. I had a very good friend who meditated in her closet. It doesn't matter. It's the space that you can sit in undisturbed without anything else trying to catch your attention, and you can sit quietly for 20 minutes. Now you can have postures for seating, but that's not the important part. You just want to be comfortable. You want to be able to sit there for 20 minutes without being interrupted. You want to next, number 3, you want to find a central phrase. Now, you've probably heard that in many meditation techniques, they use mantras or phrases or various kinds of word combinations. You want to pick one, some phrase or sentence that you've heard or read that has deeply impressed you, or which you resonate with, or wish to align yourself with. It might be something from the Bible, it might be something from a favorite book, or a song, or a poem. It should be something that has a strong, positive association in your mind, whether or not it would make sense to another person. So it can be anything that you associate positively, that you feel that you wish to aspire to. You'd like to be that. You don't tell anybody. You keep your phrase a secret. If you tell others about this, they will say your word or share with you their attitude about your choice. And when you go to say it, their words, their thinking may intrude into your mind. Their pronunciation, their intonation, maybe what you hear. You keep this phrase a secret. And by choosing your phrase, you empower it as a goal to which you aspire. Keep it a secret. You examine your life. Consider who you are and where you aspire to be. The function of meditation is to foster well-being at the most fundamental level. Consider this from a physical, an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual level. Look for patterns in your life. In considering the physical, let's say you overeat. It's been a lifelong problem, and it's a negative. So the positive is you wish to eat consciously only foods that are good for you and in appropriate amounts. That's what you're striving for. Obesity is a huge problem in the United States, and it arises from eating practices. And so as you consider this physical part of yourself, you may want to pick something that focuses on. You want to choose 4 words of intentioned purpose. You reduce these patterns, this physical pattern, the mental pattern, the emotional pattern, spiritual pattern, into these 4 phases. And you pick words or phrases, not a single word, it could be a phrase of words that embody all the energy you have invested in these patterns and your aspirations to make their positive aspects the reality of your life. You can write these words down. You can make a set of circles, 4 circles, and you put a physical, a mental, emotional, spiritual. Now, I make a difference between the mental and the emotional because I have discovered over the years when you ask people, what do you think about that? They say things like, I feel. And if you ask somebody, how do you feel about that? They say, well, I think. So you split the difference. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. An emotional pattern might be that you feel you allow your partners to disregard your feelings, and then you feel angry about it. The positive of this might be that you will say what your feelings are and choose only to be involved with people who will acknowledge them. So your word might be feelings, just as your physical word might be food. Be as honest as you can, and don't tell anyone about it, or you will lie to yourself. A mental pattern might be your sense that you don't think clearly enough about some task that you have to do, and so your word might be clarity. Your spiritual word might be, I feel alone, I don't feel connected, I don't feel anything, I don't feel like I'm part of anything bigger. And your word might be unity. You work the words out. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Those are the 4 words or phrases, they don't have to be words, that you're going to use in your meditation. You establish your daily practice. Once a day in your chosen place, at your chosen time, you will be fully, consciously present to meditate for 20 minutes. Sit comfortably, loosen collars, belts, shoelaces, anything that constricts. You want to be completely comfortable You don't want to be thinking about, oh, this shirt is too tight, or my shoes ache, or whatever. So you're in a completely comfortable position. You're relaxed. You have your central phrase. You have your four words. Look at a watch or a clock. Visualize the hands as they will be in 20 minutes. You will be surprised at how accurate you become at this time estimating, and it will carry over into other aspects of your life. For instance, I haven't owned an alarm clock in years. When I go to sleep, I visualize what time the clock will look like at the time that I want to awaken. And I awaken. So you'll get very accurate about this. It's surprising. You visualize the clock or the watch as the hands will be in 20 minutes. That's the key. And then you sit down and you're relaxed and you say your central phrase in your mind and you repeat it and repeat it again, maybe again, and wait. For a while, there'll be nothing. Then you'll find thoughts bubbling up. If the thoughts pertain to your phrase, whether anyone else would think that they did or not, doesn't matter. If you think whatever thoughts have come into your mind, speak to your central phrase. You think them. And then, after a while, you'll find your mind's wandering off and you stop and you say your central phrase again and maybe again. And then there is nothing. And after a while, thoughts bubble up. And if they relate to your central phrase, you think them. And if they don't, you do the same thing again. You say your central phrase once or twice. There is nothing. Thoughts bubble up. You go through the process again and again. At the end of the 20 minutes, you close with your words of intentioned purpose. At the end of the session, you say in your mind your physical word. So let's say the word is food. So you've come to the end of your 20 minutes, and you're sitting there, and you say food. And you think of it in the way that you would like to be. It becomes a word of power. You say your mental word, whatever it is, and you think of it as the way you would like it to be. You visualize yourself the way you want to be. And then you say your emotional word or your phrase, and then your spiritual one. It may help to visualize the words going out like arcs of light, or that you're plugging into a greater whole. Whatever works, that's what you do. What you're doing is committing yourself at the deepest level to become the person you would like to be. Now, interestingly enough, after a while, one of the words may go flat. That is, you say it and it just doesn't have the same power that it's had before. And suddenly you'll recognize, oh, if the word was food, for instance, gosh, I'm eating completely differently. I'm not eating things I used to eat all the time. Or if the word was clarity, you suddenly realize, gosh, you know what, recently I've been much clearer in my thinking. Or if your spiritual word, for instance, was I feel isolated and I don't feel connected and I just don't get it. you suddenly say, I realized all life is interconnected and interdependent, and that I'm part of this. And when that happens, when a word goes flat, then you pick a new word, a new physical word, a new emotional word, mental word, spiritual word. And in that way, you reprogram yourself and you become the person you seek to be. And as I say, there is an enormous amount of research on this. If you download the paper that you get at the end of the episode, you'll find great detail and lots of references that you can pursue if you want to. But what happens is, almost without realizing you're doing it, you become a different person. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You're a different person. You become the person you seek to be. You do this and you do it every day. And I guarantee that after a while, you will realize you're a different person. Now, if you would like to give guidance on this, how to do it, and to actually take you through it, I recorded Meditation for Modern Minds. Most meditation techniques were developed hundreds or thousands of years ago when people lived in a completely different world. They weren't constantly stimulated by electronics or social media. They didn't travel a lot. There weren't a lot of bright colors usually, all sorts of things. Those meditation techniques developed in an earlier age for earlier cultures. This technique that I've just taught you is designed for modern minds. So if you go to the link underneath, or you look at the OCR and you click on it, you can download a recording that I have made, which also has a special tone, which research has shown helps you stay focused and helps this whole process to go along. So you can get it or not, whatever. But I urge you, as we go into 24 and we face what I'm afraid is going to be an increasingly difficult period of our history, meditation will give you security, will give you a sense of well-being, will give you a sense of guidance that nothing else really provides. So that's my gift to you. I thank you for listening. I hope you will take this up. Write me and tell me what happens. It gives you a path to a new you, one that is fostered of well-being, that fosters well-being. It is the person you seek to be.